Welcome. So good to see all of you here. Thank you for attending. This is for the class of 2020, or sorry, 2000. My name is Tina Villalobos Mitiguy, and I was graduating in the class of 2000 MBA 2-year program, and I come from the San Francisco Bay Area. As you might have read on the website, I've been working in the San Francisco Bay Area as a workplace consultant. And today we have a lot in store for you in the next hour. The topic, as you've seen, is called Notre Dame Network for Life 2.0. And what does that mean? As a graduate alumnus, this is our second degree, MBA. And this is our second chance to reconnect with the Notre Dame family, with the Notre Dame spirit, and to get back to campus all together after 25 years. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to introduce our panelists here for you today. And while we're being introduced to them, I want you to think about each one of them and their story and how it connects to your story. And one thing that you want to take away from this session today, and just let that marinate in your head, and we'll have a Q&A at the very end. At the last 15 minutes, we will have a presentation from IrishCompass, kind of like the LinkedIn for Notre Dame. And we'll have a great demo from Juliana that will tell you how you can continue to connect with our beloved Notre Dame. So with that, let's get started. I'd like to introduce first Carol Anderson.
Hi, I'm Carol Anderson. Ooh, that's nice. Thank you so much for being here. Class of 2000 MBA. I live in Los Angeles, went to USC undergrad, and I am the principal consultant for my finance and strategy consultancy, Anderson Finance Consulting in Los Angeles. Fun fact?
Yes, please. A fun fact about yourself in the last 25 years, something that's occurred, or something you want to share, just to share.
Well, midway through my career, I decided that I finally had sufficient time and money, and I took a year off and went around the world for almost a year. Spent time in on 6 continents to about 30 countries.
Wow.
Yeah.
The traveler. Carol, didn't know that about you. Sucheth.
Good. Hi, everyone. You can hear me loud and clear. My name is Sucheth, class of 2000. Currently, I'm the CEO of a listed pharmaceutical company based out of India. And a fun fact, and Tina reminded me this morning, but when I actually first came to Notre Dame, this was in 1998. I realized that when my father went to Notre Dame, this was back in 1966, he had an American host family. So Mr. Duesenberg used to work for Allied Signal that made missiles for the US government. And my father spent a lot of time with them. And when I came here in 98, I actually went to visit them to exactly the same house. And as soon as Mrs. Duesenberg saw me, she started, to have tears in her eyes, and she ran back into the house and then came back out, got herself together. And she's like, "You remind me so much of the good time that we had when your father was here." So that was really nice. And incidentally, the company that I work for, which is coincidentally founded by my father, is also named after Father Newland of Notre Dame. So you see the Newland Science Block, that's where the company is named after. So we'll talk more. John spent 2 years with me. He obviously didn't know that because I could hear him. So I'm glad to share that fun fact about me. We'll get more into it as we go through the.
Yes.
But that's me.
Thank you, Sucheth. And
John Casserly, class 2000, originally from Chicago, born and raised in Chicago, traveled around quite a bit, was living out in Los Angeles, looking to go get my MBA. So I applied to USC and UCLA, and Notre Dame was my throwaway application. And I didn't get into, it was UCLA at the time. Notre Dame accepted me with open arms, but I didn't want to leave the Southern California lifestyle. So I deferred a year, tried to get into USC. That got waitlisted there. So I'm like, I can't say no to God twice. So that's how I ended up at Notre Dame without ever stepping foot on campus. Not so fun fact, and what the heck happened in the last 25 years? I have no idea. It's time just, I feel like I'm still starting my life. and we've been out of school for 25 years. So other than that, because I live in Chicago right now, my company is 41 North Builders. I'm a general contractor specializing mostly in home remodeling, residential work.
Thank you, John. Well, let's get into it now about your connection to Notre Dame. Carol, how have you stayed connected to Notre Dame?
So I like to say that, I graduated 25 years ago, but I've never left Notre Dame. Straight out of graduating was the first in 2000 was my first attendance to the Black Alumni of Notre Dame's board, not board, sorry, triennial reunion. And I was still on campus. We had just graduated. My lease didn't expire, so I chose to stay on campus. And that year, coincidentally, was their triennial. And so immediately I got to connect with alums going back to the 50s all the way through in the Affinity group triennial reunions. It's an all class. So we get to meet people going all the way back. And I had the pleasure of getting to know those folks and just to see all the work that they have done to support the Black, African, Afro Caribbean, African American community at Notre Dame. Yeah. And I chose right then to be a part of that. So I joined the board in 2001 and served for about 12 years. Then I went away for a while and I'm back again starting last July. And what it does for me is I'm reminded of what others have done for me. And so it's important to me that I give back to not only the Notre Dame community, but narrowly to the MBA program. There are current MBAs here doing what I did 25 years ago, and any student. So I have many mentees that I've served over the last 25 years. So through service.
Yeah, I think of service usually as like hands-on work, working on the farm, but what you're talking about it is a leadership, it's a way to bring people into the fold through your hard work, reaching out, project management, organization, those type of skills.
Correct. Well, the university's primary constituent groups are alumni, number one, current students, number two, prospective students, number three, and then the community here. So administration, staff, faculty, all of those communities are impacted by the work that the alumni boards do. And so not only at the local level, obviously, but I've been serving at the national level. And so it's been wonderful to do that.
Thank you, Carol. John or Sucheth, you want to jump in with how you've been connected to Notre Dame these past 25 years?
Well, I'm just happy that Carol's getting asked the question first so I can give the right response. So that I'm not listening to her, but anyway, jokes apart, I think personally, I'm kind of big on finding ways of giving back where I've gained from. I've constantly tried to do it. So as far as Notre Dame is concerned, we try to work with the chemistry department here to see if we can get students from here to India. Because, as all of you know, in university, you're doing a lot of theoretical work and you don't get to apply it. You don't get to appreciate how what we can learn here can be applied once you get a job and go out there. So what we're trying to do is for all the students in the chemistry department, and since we make pharmaceuticals for heart disease, depression, schizophrenia, anti-infectives, one of our goals is to see if we can get students to work in a lab so that they can see the correlation between what they're learning in college or university and how they're going to be able to apply it once they get out of here. I also work with Notre Dame International. So Notre Dame International has a project in India. They have a pretty sizable budget. They're actually training teachers in government schools in India to impart better quality education. So I'm on their advisory board in India. I helped them recruit like the project manager for this entire program, try to make government connections in India. India can be bureaucratic, as probably a lot of you know. So I try to enable that relationship between Notre Dame International and the work that they do in specifically India. The last thing we're trying to do, not successful yet, is to get people who work in New England to come and actually work on campus here so that you have that reverse where you kind of learning modern chemistry, modern techniques, and all of that. And for me, the best way to stay in touch with Notre Dame is to stay in touch with my friends. So
I like that answer. Yeah.
As I say, that's a good segue to me because that's my connection is on the social personal level. I've never been one much for networking. I don't know if it is just kind of a fault. I always thought I could do everything on my own, so I never cared to reach out and ask for help. But on the personal level, the contacts I made with our program, I kind of equate it to being in the military and sharing the same foxhole. We all went through the same thing together, same classes, the same struggles, graduating, looking for the jobs. So it was that shared experience that tied us together. And for the past 25 years, I consider my classmates some of my best friends I've ever had because we're able to stay connected, share what's going on. I enjoy listening about what's going on with their growing families, all that sort of thing. So my contact is more again on a personal level. Obviously, football games, we could get in for football games or game watches, wherever, what towns we're in. So there's obviously those typical connections to have.
But I have to add, James, you don't mind? Because Roman and I were talking about it yesterday, is that we spent 2 years on campus. Never went for a run around the lake. And we went for a run around the lake yesterday and all around campus, had the best time ever. I had the opportunity to do that for 2 years and I didn't. And I feel like such an idiot. And for me, I don't want to repeat that. So one of the reasons I keep coming back to campus is that I can't change what happened in the past, but at least given I'm an alumni, I can find ways to give back to the university and continue to get back. It doesn't have to be limited to that 2 years. It actually can be a lifelong journey.
Yes.
And I plan to do that. So
Well, that's a perfect bridge to my next question, Sucheth. In what ways have staying connected been of value to you over the 25 years? And you've been talking about that already. I'll let you think about that. For the sake of diversity, I'll add my own story here. So I didn't grow a business and I'm not as social as John. Well, maybe I am. And I haven't done the leadership at Notre Dame. And truthfully, after I graduated in 2000, I returned back to the San Francisco Bay Area, started working, got married, had a family. And I was disconnected, I would say, to Notre Dame, loosely connected in the beginning, and then less so over the years as I got busy with being a mom and working until my son was applying to Notre Dame, right? Once I said, oh, we got to go on a college tour, and all these memories came back. We came here, he fell in love with it. He got accepted. Thank you, Lord. And that just changed everything because now I'm a parent. He's in the band, the drum line. I'm all in, coming to football games. I've got the swag. My husband's like, what has happened to you? It's like, I'm all in. So there's different ways and that's been a great value. And now my son and I have this thing in common and I can connect to friends and through my son, I connected to a couple of MBA friends in the area. And it's just give us a reason to call on one another and say, hey, I'm reconnecting. How about you? So anything to add about the value of your connections to Mrs. Notre Dame?
yeah, I'm still pondering the questions you gave me before that.
Okay.
The value of it's actually.
Well, what has been the impact on you and the people you've been connected to? Carol, we had talked before a little bit about your work and the impact you've had on the various people in your network and Black Alumni Association and your own alumni to within the Southern California.
So there are, last night, under the tent, I met a young lady who I saw a young lady who I met when she was a freshman. She is now married with 3 children. And we're talking about how do we prepare her middle schooler for college. So the idea that all of these years have gone by, I have hundreds of students that I've touched. I don't have any children of my own, but part of what I've dedicated to is that young people do not reinvent the wheel. That drives me bananas. 25 years later, to hear students struggling with the same things that we experienced as undergrads and graduate students. And I am committed. My purpose in life is to die empty. That everything I learn, study, read, have been exposed to, traveled for, experience, is for me to hand over to the young people or to hand over to anybody who could benefit from it, right? And so that's the impact. That's the impact it makes.
I think similar, Tina. So I'm going to share another funny story and I'll talk about the impact. So I'm standing in line at a hotel checkout line in Tokyo. We have an office in Tokyo, so I keep going there once every couple of years. And then all of a sudden I hear someone say, Sucheth. And then there's no bloody way someone's calling my name out in Tokyo in some obscure hotel, which is not even downtown Tokyo, right? So I ignore it because, there could be other Japanese words that sound like Sucheth. And then I hear Sucheth again. I'm like, okay. And then I look and it's Yuko, who's our classmate. Wow. And she's standing like 10 feet away from me and we're staring at each other. She drops her badge, and like they show in the movies, she comes running and she flies at me and like hugs me. And I'm like, I literally melted to the ground because, like early morning flight back to India, I had a couple of tough days in Tokyo, so I wasn't in the best of moods. But just to see Yuko just come and give me that hug was the most. So when I think of Japan now, I don't think of my Japanese business or the Japanese office. I should think of Yuko and that reception in the hotel. And, we spent time. And that was the first time I reconnected with Yuko, which is 15 years after I graduated. Since then, I've stayed in touch with Yuko, and she's actually on her way here. So she's on her way here like a couple of hours or so. So I think those kind of things, it doesn't have to impact you on a daily basis, but can happen once in a while. And I think it has a huge impact on you. I think in terms of impact on business, as I was telling you guys, the company itself is named after Father Newland of Notre Dame. So I'm reminded of Notre Dame pretty much on a daily basis. But, every time, I meet a customer, 50% of our sales come from the US. So we sell a lot of pharmaceuticals for heart disease, depression, schizophrenia, like we're selling anti-infectives. So every time I meet a customer or a client, and I don't do this on purpose, but if I do happen to wear a Notre Dame vest like I'm wearing now, 9.9 out of 10 times, it strikes a great conversation. It breaks the ice. So there's that barrier that, okay, Suchet's from India or, Newland's primarily an Indian company, can we trust them or not? All that gets broken down because now, they talk about Notre Dame, they ask about my experience. So all that shackles are completely broken down. It just becomes a human to human conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Sean, do you have anything to add about the impact these connections have had for you and for others?
I can't top a story like that. And I'm a movie guy. I used to stay on movie scenes from it.
He's feeling them.
I want to jump in here. So on a personal level, my business, it's me, myself, and I business. So I don't have that much interaction as far as promoting the Notre Dame brand. What it does happen is obviously sports. It's not on the educational side. So I appreciate what these guys are sharing as far as the impact on the global stage of what Notre Dame brings. So
Well, I can add something. John's like the magnet of our
Exactly.
class.
Yeah.
He's not going to say that, but he's the magnet. So when Carol was organizing our reunion and she got John to come to the meetings, I think people were like, oh, I want to talk to John. He's a funny guy. So yeah. So people, if you have that kind of personality and you join a group, you bring people together, John.
Yeah.
That's for me too. So with my king, he would always, so when we were sitting in class, we were doing assignments, he would always make sure that I was comfortable or not because, I was 22 and stupid when I came there. I'm close to 50 and still stupid. That hasn't changed. But he would still look for me. Sujit, are you okay? Do you have everything that you need?
Mm.
So I know exactly what you need. He was that guy who thought about everyone in class.
And he has had the most personal connections.
You did that.
yeah, I appreciate. Don't pretend. Don't pretend that okay. I'm still thinking of jumping in your arm.
No, I don't think I can handle that. I didn't drink.
Yeah, he's stayed the most connected with classmates. We can ask him about There were 120 of us in our 2-year program, a 60 in 1-year program. And I think you've connected personally, physically, going to visit people in states and homes and doing social things with more classmates than anybody else.
Well, that's what happens when you're single and you don't have a family. You have that freedom. One of our classmates, I gave him a call years ago. I said, "Hey, love to come visit, see you and kids, and maybe take them to a ball game or whatever." And his response was, "Yeah, the summer doesn't work." So that gave me an understanding of what it was to be a parent of young kids and chasing them around with sports and all that stuff. I'm like, "Oh, this summer is not going to work." So, and then I understood when other, friends were busy. So, and it gave me appreciation for what my parents did in raising me. I didn't have that chance to have kids to show that or experience that. So I've been experiencing that to my classmates.
Thank you, John. Well, hopefully now you've had some time to think about what the earlier question I asked of what do you want to get from the session, from the panelists. In a minute, we're going to pivot to the audience, and we're going to ask the panelists your recommendations for how these lovely people can re-engage and reconnect with Notre Dame. But I want from the audience just one or two people, if you want to share what you want to hear from the panelists in the next 20 minutes that we have. Can I get a hand here from someone? Anything in particular that you came to listen to or want to know?
It could be a sentence or two. Yeah, just what you want to hear.
Oh, Michelle.
I'm Michelle from Tim's wife, and I was fortunate enough to work in a dean's office in the school there, and he landed in Atlanta. So this elementary 25 ones. We are retired now, and we have time, and our data goal is to play golf and fix the state. Anyway, that's my crazy. I'm an undergrad at University of Tennessee. And it was a fairly strong alumni association. But when I got said, when Notre Dame Alumni Association down there was, it's like every day something's going on. It's just really.
Anyone from Atlanta? Okay, just check it. Don't.
And so, it was it's kind of like we got involved in life and work, and it wasn't as easy or it just wasn't a priority. But kind of like up here, we got to stay, and you see it sitting in this room, how much this feels like home.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I've not gotten from any other affiliation at the university program. And I think I had, for me, it was a unique perspective to be able to work with Carolyn.
Yeah, Carolyn, our team.
And when I left, I should have brought this picture with me. Anyway, my gift is this huge picture framed of the gold dome. A lot of the, staff, professionals, etc. Was one of my legends.
Yeah.
This will go.
Yeah.
It's such a nice memory,
Yeah.
So, I think for me, just sitting here and how to do that feeling, I'm in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice. And thank you for sharing, Michelle. And yes, you had that unique experience of being an employee, working with the dean, but having her husband, Tim, in the program with us and all the clubs, in the different metropolitan areas and have been great resources for all of you. Yeah, and we encourage you to take advantage of those to reconnect with Notre Dame, whether you've been disconnected like I was for many years or you have been continuously. What are your recommendations? Any one of you?
In terms of
How to re-engage or reconnect with Notre Dame? Your recommendations, thinking about the audience.
before that, I want to ask these two guys that are current class of 2026. How they correct? Yes. So there's a couple of things that you guys want to walk away with today. What would those be? I have no regrets about putting you on. You're very young, you're like 50 years younger than me. So I'm going to find anything to get back at you guys.
To introduce, I'm Brandon Moore. I'm doing my internship in Chicago at Brennan Investment Group. Also, the main thing I want to know is how does this happen and read that cycle.
Talk to Carol.
Yes.
What about you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Collins. I'm an internship in Virginia with CPG startup. My question will be how to make the current students interact more with the alumni. Reading the gap, because we imagine that most of you, so be nice. Thanks, guys.
Not you. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Go ahead with it. So I love to ask people for support. And most people would say I rarely get a no. But the reason for that is I think that you can suggest to people in tiers the ways that they can become involved, right? Like you shared, Michelle, you're now retired, you've got free hands, you may have the opportunity to contribute a year's worth of service in whatever ways. So that's one. So think through how much time you actually have that you're willing to offer up. The second thing would be of those constituent groups that I mentioned, which, tugs at your own heart. What group of, that university supports would be of interest to you? If you have an affinity, anything. And then the other part is, do you want to provide support at the national level, at the local level, once a year, twice a year, for the next 6 months or 12 months? And there are Notre Dame clubs, 200 and, I should know this number because it was in a quiz in our board meeting the other day, but 260 odd, almost 270. And Juliana will help me if I'm right or wrong, around the world. And most large US cities, in fact, even small US cities, have a Notre Dame club. So that's the first place you want to tap into. And then that can lead you to further.
So think about this, we're thinking in marketing terms, right? So who are the constituencies? Who are the people you want to serve, right?
Yeah, good. And I think for me specifically, whether it's anyone or both of you guys, see, too often we get in touch with Notre Dame alumni without context, right? So I do get a lot of emails from students. It's like, hey, I want to talk to you. Now, if I'm here, I can't physically pick up the phone and talk because I'm busy. And, tonight I fly to Nairobi for about 6 days or so. So I think for me, what's valuable is not take the Alumni Association for granted. Do your homework. Understand what is it that you want, what are they up to, so that when you make the connection, you've shown that you've taken interest in them, you've created you've kind of customized. So in marketing terms, you've like literally customized your sales or marketing.
Mhm.
I'm taking for granted that, okay, I'm from Notre Dame, so you're from Notre Dame, so I'm gonna send you an email and I expect you to pick up the phone or respond. I don't think you should be doing that. I think that's one way of doing it. Second, as Carol's saying, I've had the same experience. We have a huge Notre Dame alumni office in India, and they're always up to doing something. So I've gone down there, I've met like prospective students and stuff like that. So I think reach out, meet people in their comfort zone. And, as Michelle was saying earlier, is there's always something happening at the Notre Dame clubs or the alumni associations. Just invite yourself, go down there, meet people. I think that's the best way to do it. And then when you have a 25th year reunion, just show up.
Show up to 5 and 10 too. My recommendation, again, I look at it from the 6 degrees of separation. You guys are first degree to each other. Work the first degree. Work with your classmates. And then you can play to the different levels of the alumni group. I was fortunate enough, one of our classmates was adopting a child. And he gave me a call and he wanted to talk to another one of our classmates. He said, do you have a phone number? I said, sure. And I knew he was adopting, so I assumed he was wanting to reach her because she had adopted their child. And I said, oh, you're going to talk to her about, adoption? He's like, no, I wanted to talk to her about the company she's working with because I wanted to possibly look at going to that company. But knowing the connection now from adoption, they're able to make a secondary connection and being able to help each other out without knowing it, without knowing that possibility was there. So there's always that. So it's always good just to be connected, and you never know what's going to trigger in helping you out further along, whether it's personal or business life. I've been fortunate that there's people in this room that helped me out. I learned along the way, and I'm sure more of the older alumni would understand. There's just no ecstasy without agony. and there's highs and lows. And I've had people help me out with some low times, and I'm very grateful for them. Without, words can't help me out with that. So understand that people are out there looking to help you. They just sometimes don't know how to help you unless you show.
That's not true.
So
That's very good.
Thank you. Yeah, this make me think too about your framework, like globally or nationally. I think I'm definitely the local kind of minded because already, because my son's here and I have the history, a little bit of history of Notre Dame, I'm finding that I'm telling other parents, oh, you're applying to Notre Dame? Let me help you, or it's a great school, or let me give you the ins and outs of what to expect. And I find that brings me a lot of joy because I believe in the university. I've seen it in my own son as what happens in the undergraduate experience. And I want to bring good people and people with integrity, people who work hard. And now I'm telling people from my son's high school, hey, have you considered Notre Dame? I know it's far away from California and the weather's really different, but if you have the right year,
Yeah.
it could work. So yeah, that's what I was just thinking about that. Is there any, I have another question. How would you like to, we've talked about how they can reconnect. Are there any things on your mind that you would like to help the university complete or move forward in its mission in terms of the future?
So I know that so the university's strategic plan has the 6 C's, right? Catholic nature, the different things that they're committed to. And in particular, when Father Bob became president, he made it clear that he wanted to work more toward the Catholic mess, so recruit more Catholic students, as well as increase the African American population. That was part of his priority. So for me, a simple thing I did is I reached out to the 10 local Catholic high schools in Los Angeles and invited their top 4 performing, each school's top 4 performing African American student. And we had admissions fly out, and they came and met with those students and shared with them the experience. I attended the rally on the road where they invited admitted students to a residence to host. Students and their parents walked up and said they applied because they heard him speak. That's something. And I gave my experience as a graduate alum of this university. And that young lady and her parents, they're like, we remember you. I was like, okay. Like I did too, but in a room of 10 people, right? But so that's just one of the
One of the ways you can help
one
the
of the ways.
universities.
Yes. Is to just think through what the mission of the university is. How does that connect with who you are and what you believe in? And then you tap into the portion that means something to you.
So I think for me, I mentioned it earlier, where if Notre Dame India is doing like a prospective student drive, I'll just go down and I'll meet the students. Someone coming down from Notre Dame, they're doing like an admissions drive. I'll be part of that. We've opened the only to doing internships for students, even full-time employment. We're thinking of sending our employees over here to Notre Dame. So now that's pretty much just
Growing the business.
Yeah.
Good.
Growing the business connections, really.
exactly.
And a lot of particularly American students have now the opportunity for an international experience.
That's right. Because most of our market, so 50% of Newland's market is here in the US. Another 40% is in Europe. Another 10% is out of Japan. So it's, it's kind of a good way to get integrated with what's happening with the global pharmaceutical.
Absolutely. 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 Hey, John?
I think I'm good right now. I think we should get to the connect.
Yes.
Yes. So, show of hands, who has updated their profile on MyMD? Show of hands. Great. Okay, we got more than enough here. Well, I encourage you to go online and just make sure the information is accurate and make sure it's updated so that the university and people like Carol, who organized our 25th reunion, can access it when your reunions come or when you have a specific area that you're interested in, whether it's faith or affinity group or just the international opportunities. Think about that and make sure you're updated in that information. We have a Q&A now just for a few minutes. Yes. Can I get a question from someone in the audience to the panelists? We have about
one for them. I thought we had a question there.
Where is it?
we kind of already
Yeah, we did.
oh,
We
okay.
did.
We have 15 minutes in for a presentation on IrishCompass. But before that, we have a Q&A for the next 5 minutes. Any of the panelists, myself included, to answer a question from you. So is there any other questions that you have for us about what we've spoken about the university's commission? Yes, in fact.
Yeah, I'm class 99 and here with the Affinity group, the Alumni Rainbow community. And specifically to support that because like it's just beautiful for me to see the university make changes over time and embrace the new groups of people and new things like that. I'm about to turn 50 in a year or so. And so maybe we're similar age range. And I'm fine, like I'm starting to switch from like kind of like how is the university in a sense served me to like how do I serve the university, but also how do I change the university? Like we are now, I feel like more and more the change makers of the institutions that formed us. And I'm wondering how you guys reflected a little bit on, you know, like the service you're giving to the community. I'm wondering if you also feel some role in a sense of like shaping the university as an institution.
Great question.
Well, I think my view, I could be totally wrong. Kind of strange that I'm sharing my view being all the way in India, furthest away from any of that from Notre Dame. But I think what I've seen work is to actually volunteer time on committees, on advisory boards. Like I was giving the example of Notre Dame International, right? And I advised them on the work that they're doing. And through them, I was able to connect to the chemistry department, the biochemistry department, started to work with the professors there. And through them, you'll find another connection because we're all part of the same community, right? So I think the best way to give back and influence change is actually to volunteer your time in an area that means a lot to you and on committees and on forums where they can actually benefit from your time, your input, your wisdom, and everything that you've gathered in the first 50 years of your life. For me personally, that's the way I've been able to make any impact on it. Usually, throwing money at something sometimes makes it worse, able to actually bring about change. But I think it's got to be a combination of both. Yeah, that's my
Thank you. To that point, I was thinking about what Carol said, understanding the mission. My recommendation would be to really educate yourself on the mission of the university. It's all online and talking to people. And then from that, you can put yourself in the room by volunteering, put yourself in the room so that your voice is heard in those conversations and you can speak as an advocate for the change that you want to see. And just put yourself in that room or with the people through service, like Sucheth said.
Can I add that your presence, your physical presence here, supporting art is our gay, lesbian, and queer community, and that is one of the affinity groups that's under the umbrella of the Notre Dame Alumni Association. So those affinity groups, Black, Hispanic, Native American, Asia Pacific Islander, are young alums, senior alums, MD Women Connect. All of these are national organizations. Sorry?
Veterans.
And the veterans, correct? So all of these are national boards under the Alumni Association that where each of us might be able to find something to support, but when we are present in the room and we serve in those areas, we have a voice. I am very committed to the African American community on this campus. And when I'm in my board meetings and Dolly Duffy, who is our wonderful executive director of the Notre Dame Alumni Association, attends our meetings, we get to personally share what are the things that are happening at the university that impacts this community. When I get to meet with Father Dahl, he comes to our meetings and we get to interact with him once or twice. Christina is in the room serving as the chair of the HA Hispanic Alumni Board, when you're in the room, you get to make an impact. Oh, right? And thank you. You can please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for recognizing us. And it's important. I mean, I think there's always been kind of a disconnect between why do we need the alumni groups? You know, we're all in deep, right? And yes, but there's been, right, certain students and alumni have had different experiences at Notre Dame. And so it's important that we all know that we are here to support each other and help the current students have a better experience so that when they become alumni, which we know they all will, right, they continue to engage with the students and with other alumni in the community. So that's what we're doing.
I mean, if there's a vision or a mission that you don't align with it, correct? It doesn't make sense to you. Then focus on the things that you believe in, and then be on committees where you can actually change the vision and mission, or at least make yourself heard so that you can influence it in the right direction. Don't let that disconnect you, prevent you from doing what you want to do.
The only thing I could add is from hard lessons learned is perseverance.
Yeah.
Don't expect change to happen overnight. You know, it's like trying to turn a tanker ship up, on a dime. So you got to just keep pushing and pushing for what you want and not give up.
Okay, we have a presentation, but I do have one question for the audience. So to help serve you in this moment, I'm going to ask each one of you to turn around and find someone you don't know. Just introduce yourself. The quick elevator pitch. This is my name. This is where I live. This is what I do. And then I'm going to call on someone to share that introduction of someone else. So I'm going to give you just 1 minute. Can you do that? 1 minute.
Is this architect? So, yeah, I yeah. See this. I do. Is this like that? I don't. Yeah, okay, where about us? Yeah, I live in town. Usually, yeah. So I think why. I mean, you know, we draw like first you got shut out or others fine. Can be my gospel thing. Because they are working on some check on it. And was the new one. I agree. This I had this one thing. I was trying to about it. The big with the search of you. Where this else?
Right, this is just you're being really social. Business students really are. Thank you for jumping on an opportunity to meet someone new right now in this moment as we celebrate our 25th reunion. And I'm going to now ask, because Juliana said I should take a minute or two. I'm gonna call on someone or how about a volunteer? Who wants to introduce the person that they just met, their name, where they're from, what they do, and anything else? Can I get a volunteer to do that? Yeah.
You guys see that? I'm Karen Proctor, class of 85. I need to talk about the new I met Christina. I live in Montclair, New Jersey. Christina lives in New York City. PE. Yeah, but 1981, the first year the door opened. And then she followed after that. And so there's all of this thing going on. And is an attorney who represents governments, governments and all these fascinating ways. And she said they will never, her firm will never be without work because
Good job, Christmas.
yeah. It's a pleasure to meet Christina.
Thank you. Thank you. I need to meet Christina too. Liberty.
You know, I'm not a big speaker, but I met Jason who went to get his Golden Dome with the Alumni Pat and it's from San Antonio. Met her in, like, he's got 1,000 ways to connect to the group, but just hey colleagues,
Yes.
50 and we'll be back here, right?
Wow. God willing. Excellent. Excellent.
I wanted to know.
Yes, we're here to support you, man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all we have today. I want to thank each and every one of you for attending. This is a great showing, and I want to give a hand to our panelists.
Hello, everyone. How are you? So first, congratulations to the NBA class of 2000. Woo! 25 years. That's beautiful. I realized I was old a few years ago in my role as the Irish Compass program manager. I approved someone who was born the year I graduated Notre Dame. So I'm an '02 grad. So I got to celebrate 20 years about 3 years ago. Now it goes like that fast. So, oh my goodness, 25. That's awesome. And if you would like to connect with Carol and Sucheth and John and Tina, Irish Compass is a great place to do that. So right now, I just have a few minutes. I'm going to whet your curiosity with all that Irish Compass has to do. But I am always available if you have questions, would like a deeper dive, anything. I can be reached the question mark in the bottom right corner. You send a message that comes to me and I will answer it. So I'm Juliana Newbill, undergrad class of '02, and I have been back home at the university in the role as Irish Compass program manager since we launched in August of 2017. So 100% of my role is dedicated to managing this platform. You might say, well, that's a pretty easy role, Juliana, but Irish Compass has a lot to offer. So I hope you're on it. Someone said before, it's kind of Notre Dame's version of LinkedIn. We might laugh at that, but it really is. I mean, if you're successfully managing your career, you are active on LinkedIn. Everyone is. But if you want to bypass hello, I am, and I went here, and Irish Compass is the place because we have the shared experiences. So it's understood. It's it's exclusive to students and alumni. So it's understood that you have that Notre Dame connection when you're on. So this is the homepage that's displayed here. It's kind of your quick access to all things Irish Compass. The more active that you are on the platform, the more the AI serves up things that are similar. Maybe people that you've reached out to, it will proffer up additional people that you might want to connect with, articles, resources, events, job opportunities, lots of things that Irish Compass. I have a big mouth, so I'm just going to talk. You can't hear me, please let me know. The heart of Irish Compass is the community tab. So since we launched 8 years ago, over 32,000 alumni have joined and 10,000 plus students, undergrad and grad. So I hope you're both on Irish Compass. So it's hard to connect with over 40,000 students and alumni. And just to point out, by design, to protect their privacy, students are not visible. So they're here in the community, but they have to initiate conversation with you. So they'll find your profile and reach out to you then you're able to see their profile and connect. So that's by design. But the 32,000 plus profiles that you see are alumni and graduate students. And you can just kind of see at first glance, you see right across their picture. I hope most of you have a picture on there. Students told us that they were fearful to reach out to someone without a picture because they thought they were getting catfish. So alumni, put your picture on. So you can see your major, your grad year, your name, your role, but you can click into the picture to see the full profile and you're able to review a little more about them, learn, hey, I just did that out of the blue and she's MBA at Notre Dame. How awesome is that? See, it's like osmosis. So you could do that at a glance and then you could see profiles. But the search bar and the filters are what's really built in to help you focus your search and find that one fellow alum that you want to connect with. So the AI, any word that's on their profile, you could search by data and their name could be data or their location could be data. It will find any mention of that on their profile and will identify those profiles. But the filters are much more focused. So industries, what are your areas of expertise? You could have multiple industries. It's a great way to search. Someone yell out an industry. Automotive. Automotive. Let's see what we have. Automotive. There we go. See you select it. And 72 of the 32,000 alumni have identified that as one of the industries on their profile. So that's what's another one? Oh, maybe someone must have been on IrishCompass. That's a new one we just launched not too long ago. And 223, I'm impressed. That's less than a year old. Renewable energy. So this is like how you're targeting. So you see that number, that 32,000 is getting lower every time. Location, it's location agnostic, but if you are a world traveler like Carol, and that's on my bucket list now to take a year off and just go, you can search by location and the global network. So it's not just the United States, but more filters is where the magic happens. So company organization, we do a lot of student demos. Everyone wants to work at Disney or Amazon. So those are popular searches. You can see how many alumni work at Disney or Amazon simply by typing the name of the company in there. There's also degree types, which might be a little pertinent maybe to this class. So you could begin typing MBA and select it and click apply. So 68, which I find surprising because there's probably more than 68 in this room. So that's a number we're going to have to work on. You can also combine it with class year. So if you want to know the MBAs from before class year, did I pass? I moved through here so quickly on my computer. Okay, but because it's a popular one. There we go. So you could even say between or exactly. So we could say 2000 and click apply. So of those 68, 2 are on. So I see a campaign, Carol and Tina, to get more 2000 and even more on there. You also talked about our clubs and groups. So all 256 of our alumni clubs around the world are on IrishCompass, and you can add that to your profile. So when you join IrishCompass, you answer all these questions and you build your profile. And the more complete you build it, the more you're visible in these searches. So please add a picture, build out a complete profile, add as much information as possible. Select your club. Yeah.
Is there a marital status line item?
No, until there's maiden name. That might not apply to your situation. When we were kind of figuring out what to name it, when we were launching, we did a survey and one of the names came back, Notre Dating. So didn't pass muster, but we considered it. So clubs and affinity, the groups are all on. So if you would like to connect with members of ARC and D, you use the filter and you connect. So the focus of IrishCompass is for you to tap the Notre Dame network in whatever way you are looking to tap the Notre Dame network. When we first launched, I said, oh, I want everyone to be on there all the time. Like LinkedIn, you're just going in, you're just going in. And my supervisor had to kind of quell my expectations a little. And he said, Juliana, it's there when they need it. And that's what's important. And if you want to give back, which I heard resonate through the conversation today, this is an easy way. You join, and students and fellow alumni can reach out to you and ask you for your support. Put yourself back in your undergrad and graduate days when you were just on campus. You were trying to figure it all out and had no idea about anything, didn't know any of the traditions, all that important stuff. You could be that level of support for a current student or a recent alum navigating their first job. You've done it. You have that experience. So now you can give back by paying it forward and sharing your expertise. It's just a conversation. That's all networking is. I like to talk, you can probably tell. But it's just a conversation. Video conference is built into IrishCompass, or you could take it offline, but you're just having a conversation. Tell me about what class you took, what professors, what would you recommend? What would you recommend? That is IrishCompass. So please join. And when you join, please be active and engaged, because it's only beneficial to students if our alumni are on there and they're able to connect with you. So there's my pitch. There's a lot more that IrishCompass has to offer, but I see that we're at time. So find me. I'm at the Alumni Association, or the little question mark in the bottom right corner. Juliana Newbill. Thank you.